Scanning for audio.
Hello and welcome to yet another Tin Dog podcast. Oh look, gone paper. I'm going to be discussing Doctor Who Sontarans vs Rutans number 1. This is part of the classic series special releases thing. If you need to do a search, I'm doing Big Finish. I do like Big Finish. You know my feelings on this. You know that I feel that Big Finish is the superior home for Doctor Who. Just across the board, and has been for years. Okay, so this one's called Doctor Who Sontarans vs Rutans, which is the series Battle of Giants Causeway. The Battle of Giants Causeway, written by Lizzie Hopley. Lizzie's been producing some storming work, so you know this is just going to be another example of how good that is, because let's face it, it's got the Sontarans, it's got the 8th Doctor, it's got Charlie and Chris. Oh yeah, Chris. How good is it? Well, you know what? I'll enthuse in a minute. Okay, let's start with a synopsis, because you know me, I don't like doing spoilers. The war between the Sontarans and the Rutans has been going on for millennia and is likely to continue for a millennia more. A terrible conflict with no care for consequences or collateral damage. Billions have died, with no end in sight. Its reach can encompass ancient Ireland and forest worlds in the far future. A temporal tidal wave leads the Doctor, Charlie and Chris to the Giant's Causeway Island in 55 BC, where the TARDIS drains of power and they encounter the Sontarans, who believe they're Roman legionaries. What has caused this, and what is the strange secret in the rocks? Sums it all up perfectly. So, it's as if they just sat down and went, you know what would be cool? Because we really liked the Sontarans in the Crimean War. Let's dress them as Romans. And it's a lot cheaper on audio. Everyone likes that whole missing legion thing going on, because I know they did it on TV, but this is so much nicer. The Giant's Causeway, gorgeous location, really brought to life here on audio, which is, you know, a good trick. For people who've never seen it, go and look it up. It's an incredible place. For those of you from Newcastle, if you remember, if you're a certain age, there was the giant pencils inside Eldon Square that you could go and play on as a kid. I realise that given the reach of my audience and the fact that not many of you are from Newcastle, this is a very, very deep dive. Let's move on. The location's gorgeous. Yes, you've got Dan Starkey playing, you know, one of the Romans, but you've also got John Banks. Together they do a lovely job of encapsulating what we've come to see as the modern Sontarans, but obviously all Sontarans are the same. They're not. And it's really nice that you've got Druids versus Romans. Now, I would have liked to have gone into more detail as to how the Sontarans ended up the way they are in this story. It felt like that could be a whole thing, so I don't know if that's something that's going to come back to in the future, and I genuinely hope so, because I want to know about the nature and why they're like this a lot more, but I'm really hoping that's part of the ongoing narrative and what's ended with them here, because this is a whole series. The next story next month has got the 3rd Doctor, going to be brilliant, the Brig, and you know what, it's just going to be a load of Sontarans having a load of fun time versus the Rutans. Rutans have largely been ignored, and I don't know why, because let's face it, we've seen them in the Horror of Fang Rock, but we've never actually seen them in the same place. Yes, they've turned up a handful of times on audio, but it's really nice that we finally get to experience this war the way that we always should have experienced it. It's lovely. I really like the way the Druids are presented here as well. It's a nice, compact story. It's the equivalent of one disc, and it's got some chat at the end. And I didn't realise this, because obviously I don't want any spoilers. So I just go into this going, and press play, thinking that it was going to be like the equivalent of an old four-parter or a two-disc thing. And that's just not the case. What it is it's one story straight through. And how it'll fit in with the other bigger stories and the bigger arcs is great. But let's face it, it's just fun. It's fun having Sontarans think that they are Romans. One of them... Well, let's put it this way. There's a scene in a bath that you'll be grateful there is no visuals for. A Sontaran is still a Sontaran even if they're dressed as a Roman. Here's the trailer. Listen and decide for yourself, but I am really up for this storyline. So until next time, be seeing you.
Keres!
Coming! Now this is Deja Vu.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, Sontarans vs. Rootans, The Battle of Giant's Causeway.
Oh, my. We have gone a long way back. Earth. Ireland, to be exact.
This is the Giant's Causeway!
We can't do anything. The TARDIS is dead.
Doctor, these stone shapes, they're all...
Hexagons. Layers and layers of hexagons in columns that are humming.
You're a death demon!
Sontaran.
Sontarans? Aliens?
Not just aliens. A clone army.
The warriors from the war beyond the stars.
Oh, this is ridiculous. They've built an entire Roman camp.
You saw lights on the rocks. The mist lit up like crackling fire.
Possibly. But Sontarans and Rootans plucked out of time and thrown together in one place is too much of a coincidence.
The ground, it shakes.
Oh, they are coming!
Kill them! Yes.
Deja vu all over again.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Everything discussed is the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. For early access to reviews, follow the show on YouTube or Twitter @Tin Dog Podcast. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.